Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So this is not a typical video for me. Usually I make videos covering specific stories like a book or a season of a TV show or something of the sort. But today we're going a bit broader and analyzing an entire franchise. Now, I know the topic of this video seems outlandish because the whole Chosen One thing is stated in the movies themselves multiple times, so it's obvious, right? But I kinda wanna give my thoughts on it because I don't believe it's that straightforward, honestly. And I've had this for a little while, so I kinda just wanna make a video on it. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like it and subscribe. Thank you! Now, first we need to establish the different versions of Star Wars first before we move on. No, Star Wars isn't a multiverse like Marvel, where the comics are a different universe from the movies, who are a different universe from the shows, etc. But there are still different versions of the galaxy. There's the George Lucas Star Wars, the expanded universe slash Legends continuity, and the modern canon or Disney canon, as some call it. There's like 3 different versions. 4 if you count the Lego version. The George Lucas Star Wars continuity includes everything that Lucas himself worked on, aka the first 6 movies and seasons 1 to 5 of the Clone Wars, nothing else. The expanded universe slash Legends continuity includes everything from Lucas's version plus all the old games, books, comics, movies, and 2003 Clone Wars everything that was decanonized when the Disney acquisition took over. So, like all the Old Republic stuff, Starkiller, the Yuzong Vong, that one Imperial who tried to marry a robot version of Leia, etc. Then there is the current canon Star Wars continuity, which includes everything from Lucas's version plus everything made after the Disney acquisition. The sequel trilogy, the anthology films, Clone Wars Season 7, Rebels, the Disney Plus shows, the newer comics and books, all the High Republic stuff, the modern games, and maybe that Knights of the Old Republic remake if it ever gets released. What happened to that, by the way? We've heard nothing about it since its announcement. It's important to establish these differences because they all work with a different idea of what events in Star Wars have occurred and what parts of the lore are canon and which aren't. Which brings us back to the question of today's video. Is the Chosen One actually a real thing in Star Wars? I personally think that it's yes and no.
Well, yes. Well, sort of, kind of. Well, no.
Let me explain universe by universe. So, in the George Lucas continuity, yes, absolutely 100% the Chosen One prophecy is a real thing, and it's undoubtedly Anakin who brings it to fruition. Anakin is the main character of Lucas's Star Wars. Yes, Luke may be the protagonist of the original trilogy, but the series as a whole is about Anakin. The prequels are about his journey becoming a Jedi and then falling to the dark side. He's the lead in the Clone Wars, and the originals have him as the main antagonist. And in Lucas's version, Anakin does fulfill the prophecy of destroying the Sith and bringing balance to the Force. He brings balance after helping Palpatine execute Order 66 and storming the Jedi Temple to kill everyone there. By the end of Revenge of the Sith, there's no longer 10,000 Jedi to 2 Sith. Now there's just 2 Sith Lords and 2 Jedi left in all of existence. The galaxy as a whole may have fallen into a dark time period because the Empire has taken over, but the Force itself is balanced, and Anakin has completed that part of the Chosen One prophecy. Flash forward 24 years to Return of the Jedi, and Anakin brings about the second part of the prophecy of destroying the Sith after killing Palpatine and renouncing the ways of the dark side, and, dying a few minutes later. And the Sith are dead in Lucas's version. There's no Sith Eternal, there's no Rule of One Sith, nothing. The story of Star Wars ends here at Episode 6 in Lucas's version, with the Sith gone forever and Luke being the last Jedi in existence. Anakin is the Chosen One in Lucas's version of Star Wars. The prophecy does come to pass in the story in its entirety. But can we really say the same for the other 2 versions of the series? I think not, actually. Let's look at the expanded universe, aka Legends, which is how I'll refer to it going forward. The thing to know about Legends is that George has made comments before about how he doesn't really like it, and that to him, it's basically just fanfiction.
Allegedly, allegedly. The lawyer lady up there in the booth is telling me to say allegedly, but...
As far as I'm aware, he hasn't stated his opinion on the current canon, so he could like it or he could hate it as well. Who knows? Anyway, I don't believe Anakin is the chosen one in Legends, or at least not the only chosen one. He doesn't really bring balance to the Force because there's still so many Jedi and Dark Jedi and Grey Jedi and Sith agents and Emperor's Hand and whatever else running around at, any given time, both during the age of the Empire and after it. And he doesn't destroy the Sith either. They keep coming back later on, long after Anakin is dead and gone. Palpatine returns multiple times to torment Luke, and after he's gone, a whole new Sith Order rises up and establishes the rule of one. Even at one point, Luke and the Sith Lord leader even team up against an even bigger threat to the galaxy. And you could even argue that Darth Bane accomplished a similar feat to Anakin when he had all of the Sith of his time kill themselves. So, no, I don't think Anakin is the chosen one in Legends, but I do think there is a case to be made that he's a chosen one. The chosen one archetype is usually for main characters who are just better than everyone else. Their fate was written in the stars, they have God given powers, they're stronger, smarter, faster, more clever, or creative, whatever. They aren't like other girls, basically.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
And it's that difference between them and everyone else that allows them to rise up and be the hero, or villain, that changes the world significantly in their story. And Legends has a lot of those characters that fit that description. Revan, Bane, Anakin, Luke, etc. So many people fit the Chosen One type of character in Legends, and they basically usher in a new era for the galaxy. Emperor Vitiate rises above everyone and rules the Sith for over 1,000 years because he's just so powerful and can't be stopped. Then Revan is born, and he rises above everyone in his field to eventually defeat Vitiate and usher in a new age in the Old Republic. Then, generations later, Bane comes into his power and destroys all the Sith of his time and enacts the Rule of Two, changing the galaxy once again. 1,000 years pass after that, and in comes Sidious to bring about the end of the Jedi. A few decades later, Anakin destroys Sidious and himself and, causes the fall of the Empire and starts a new era free, or at least nearly free, of the Empire itself, which gives way to Luke to begin a new era in the galaxy where the Jedi have returned. And forgive me if I'm wrong here, I'm not the best studied on Legends, especially, past Return of the Jedi stuff. But wasn't there the beginnings of a new conflict with Han and Leia's son going to the dark side and his sister and Luke's kid gonna fight him and their battle would determine the outcome of the galaxy, but then the Disney acquisition happened so that storyline never got to finish? I don't know, maybe that happened, maybe I didn't. The point is, so many people in Legends fit the typical chosen one archetype and even fulfill parts of the supposed prophecy themselves by ending galactic level dramas and bringing balance, or, destroying the Sith for a time before they eventually rose up again. So, I don't really think Anakin is the chosen one in Legends, because I don't really think there can only be one chosen one in that version of Star Wars. Rather, I think the Force in Legends works to bring about a champion who will shift the power of the galaxy for better or worse, and bring about massive change during their time period to begin a new era for the galaxy. And we actually know that the Force itself responds to significant events in the galaxy, as seen in the Plagueis book, where Darth Plagueis tried to create life and, the Force went, nuh-uh, and created Anakin instead. So, I really think in Legends, the Chosen One prophecy isn't real, and that there are instead multiple different heroes and villains that could be considered Chosen Ones for the impact they have on history. And then there's also Starkiller, who is literally just a Chosen One power fantasy that I can't stand. I swear to God, the only place that I can tolerate this guy's existence is in Galaxy of Heroes, and even then, he mostly just stands around on his team while Papa Palps and Miss Mara do all the work.
Get out of here! Fuck you! You are a liar. I hate you. I don't give a fuck. You are ugly. Fuck off. Shut up.
Now, let's look at canon Star Wars, or the modern Disney canon as some refer to it. But I'll just be calling it canon. I also don't think the Chosen One really exists in canon either, but not in the same way as Legends. Rather, I think there's no Chosen One whatsoever in canon Star Wars. I mean, does Anakin destroy the Sith here either? Well, no. Much like in Legends, Palpatine comes back, though thankfully only once as opposed to 50 billion times, and it's Rey who ultimately defeats him and the Sith finally by destroying the Sith Eternal Cult at the Battle of Exegol. Which, Vader knew about the Sith Eternal yet didn't get the chance to defeat them before dying, so even Anakin would probably agree he didn't fulfill that part of the prophecy. And does Anakin bring balance to the Force here either? Well, not really either. There's various different Jedi and Padawans who survive Order 66 and lots of Inquisitors running around. Let me also clarify that I don't have a problem with there being Order 66 survivors. I actually much prefer it because it makes a lot more sense that some people would survive and the Empire would hunt them down, and it allows for more interesting stories. I just include that because Lucas in Revenge of the Sith was clearly trying to have it be that there were only 2 Sith and 2 Jedi left, so that was how balance was achieved. And neither canon nor Legends kept that. Okay, so Anakin isn't the chosen one in canon, so who is? Well, no one, I think. I believe canon has instead been going down the road of anyone can be a hero and anyone can be the chosen one in their own story. I mean, the Empire wasn't just defeated by Vader's sacrifice, or just by the actions of Luke and Leia, like it might come off as in Lucas's version. And it wasn't just defeated by a few people, mostly from the elite, like Legends might come off as. It took people all across the galaxy from all walks of life rising up and striking multiple smaller blows over 20 years to finally bring down the Empire. Cal keeping the list of Force-sensitive kids away from the Inquisitors, the Phoenix crew liberating Lothal, Cassian's story. I haven't finished Andor, don't shoot me. Even just random civilians protesting against stormtroopers. Every action taken by people helps grow the rebellion and weaken the Empire bit by bit until eventually the war is in a position where Luke and his gang can finally deal the killing blow at Endor and bring the Empire down at last. Yes, it's at the Battle of Jakku a year later that the Empire officially dies, and even still you have remnants like Gideon and Morgan running around, and eventually the New Republic's ego and negligence allows those remnants to gain enough power to burst into the First Order and destroy the New Republic, but that isn't the point. And I think this everyone can be a hero thing is really highlighted in the recent Ahsoka show with Sabine, which is currently premiering as of the recording of this video. Sabine has no more Force sensitivity than a regular person. Hu Yang even says multiple times the old Jedi Order would have rejected her, but Ahsoka doesn't give up on her and still wants to teach her the ways of the Force. A side note in all this, I really do love how the current canon keeps making a point that the Force flows through everyone and it can work through everyone, and everyone can draw on its power in some way with enough focus. Cause I always felt like in Legends the Force was very much like, you either got it or you don't. And I always felt like that was just wrong. I mean, go back to the very first movie, and Kenobi literally says it's an energy field that binds all living things, so it should flow and work through all living things, right? Not just a select few.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Anyway, back to the point. And there's also the Citizens Fleet in Rise of Skywalker, where it's literally people from all walks of life across the galaxy just taking up arms to help the Resistance defeat the First/Final Order and finally end the fascist legacy of the Empire once and for all. So, no, I don't think the Chosen One prophecy is real in canon either. I think current canon is very much going with the message that anyone can be the Chosen One in their own story, and that one person's actions, one group's actions, always have some sort of ripple effect and helps in the fight against evil in more ways than you realize. Yes, the Force may have bigger plans for certain individuals, like guiding Ezra back to Lothal once he was ready to free his home planet, or bringing Rey into the fight when the galaxy really needed a champion of light to fight the ever-growing threat of the First Order and Sith Eternal. But there's no one person destined to free everyone, like in Lucas's version of Star Wars, or just a select few that are just so significantly more powerful and intelligent than everyone else in their time, like in Legends. Rather, the heroes of canon all vary on their individual power levels. Some are extremely sensitive to the Force and can call upon its power easily, while others are barely sensitive to it whatsoever. Some have trained in the ways of the Force or in regular combat and weapons training for years, while others have barely any formal training and just figure things out. But it's through their determination and willingness to fight, and oftentimes their ability to accept help and work with others as a team, that ultimately leads them to saving the day. And let me be clear on something. I'm not saying any of these things are exclusive to one version of Star Wars. Anakin still has the highest midichlorian count ever recorded and had the potential to be the most powerful Jedi of all time across all three versions. There are still ragtag teams that work together to save the day across all three versions. I'm just saying what I think each version of the galaxy generally seems to highlight and how that moral or focus relates to the Chosen One prophecy. And speaking of the prophecy, I know I said I don't believe it's real in either Legends or canon, and I want to explain what I mean by that, just so there's no or very little confusion. When I say it's real in Lucas's version, I mean that it literally is a prophecy that comes to pass. Like that's an actual thing that happens. Anakin is the chosen one in Lucas's version of Star Wars. But in Legends and canon, at least in my interpretation, the Chosen One prophecy is more so just an ancient text that the Jedi believe will come to fruition, even if it never actually does. And they think Anakin is that supposed Chosen One simply because of his extremely high midichlorian count. Think of it like a Bible story. Some people believe Jesus is the prophesied Chosen One who will return one day and the events of Revelations will take place, while others believe that's just religious mumbo-jumbo. That's kinda how I view the Chosen One prophecy in canon and Legends. So, yeah, let's just summarize all this. I think the Chosen One prophecy is real in Lucas's original vision of Star Wars, but not so much in Legends or canon. I think Legends took the approach of the Force selecting a Chosen One whenever the fate of the galaxy needed to shift, for better or for worse. While canon is going down the route of the Chosen Ones don't exist. Anyone can be the main hero, and it takes a village to change things in the galaxy. These are just my thoughts on the subject. I've never seen anyone question whether the prophecy is real or not, so I thought I'd give it a go. Again, this is just my interpretation of things. Art is subjective at the end of the day, so everyone is going to have slightly or major different thoughts on things. And if you agree with me, that's great. And if you disagree with me, that's also cool. Just keep things respectful in the comments either way, please. Anyway, that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Does this change how you view the different versions of Star Wars in any way? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.